the greats have played the beautiful tune of Autumn Leaves. And of course they've done this because Autumn Leaves is one of the world's most famous standards. When being in a jam session, jamming with your friends, or being in any other musical group, it's almost certain that Autumn Leaves is going to be called. So Autumn Leaves is definitely one of the jazz standards you want to learn and you want to have ready in your fingers and in your mind when you're going to play jazz. In this video I want to show you how to learn the structure and the form of this jazz tune. We'll dig into an easy way to learn the chords and even learn them by heart. And later in the video, when you are starting to improvise on Autumn Leaves, you will be ready to play a solid solo. Let's solo on Autumn Leaves. Learning the basics of improvising over jazz standards, there are 3 things you definitely need to keep in mind: melody, harmony and rhythm. And you might think this, but he's mentioning the definition of music. Melody, harmony and rhythm is actually the full definition of music. But let's start simple. What we need to do is just start with the melody. Learning the melody is the absolute best way to start learning jazz standards. And learning it by ear is 1,000 times better than reading it. So start listening to the melody. Listen to it a lot. Look for different versions, but look for versions where the melody is really clear and they play it almost like the original, because there are lots of pitfalls when you learn the melody. I advise you to learn the melody as close to the original as you possibly can, because after you learn the original melody there'll be plenty of time to make your own version. So when you're learning the melody, find versions where there are not too many side steps. So Chet Baker here, he's playing it pretty straight, but in a different key than the original key. Keith Jarrett is playing in the original key, but he's improvising half the theme. And then there's Michael Brecker, and there's a lot of arrangement when he's playing the tune. I found this version of Scott Hamilton playing Autumn Leaves. This is close to the original. And now when you've found a version, try playing it, try listening to it, and then combine it with the sheet music. Start slowly and learn the melody in parts. It's much easier this way, and really learn the melody by heart. Now let's start improvise. For that we need some basic theory. Play the C major scale. We need the C major scale because the tune of Autumn Leaves is in C major. There's a little hiccup here because it's actually in A minor, and there's a long theoretical explanation of why it's in A minor and not in C major. Let's go straight to the playing. Mostly you can spot the key of the tune by checking out the melody tones, and you can also compare it to the chords of the tune. When comparing the chords in the tune to the chords in the scale of C major, you see they're almost all the same. Now we checked out the scale and we got a little bit further than I wanted to, but let's get back to basic improvising. The first step of improvising is learn the roots of the chords, because the roots are actually the names of the chords too. And as you can see in this example, I'm using the first 8 bars of Autumn Leaves to make examples in this video. In the lesson manual on Patreon, I've made full form etudes on Autumn Leaves to get you all the examples written down over the whole form. I really recommend you to dig into the lesson manual on Patreon to get the full idea. Do the easy download on Patreon and get into the basic steps of soloing on Autumn Leaves. The download link is in the description. And by the way, I also have a full solo manual over Autumn Leaves where it explains the chords, the guide tone lines and solo etudes and the scales. This is a really easy step to get into real soloing over Autumn Leaves. And the link to the full solo manual is also in the description. So the next thing is adding rhythm to the roots. Play the roots again. But this time add the rhythm. When you play this, play very slow rhythm, and you can improvise any rhythm. You can play the same rhythm in all the bars, or you can change it up. You can write down the rhythm, whatever you want. The thing is to get into playing rhythmical solos on the roots of the chords. I promised you that you'll be able to play a proper solo at the end of this video. Let's go, let's get moving. Which means we need to take the next step. We need to get into the chord tones. We must know the diatonic chord tones of the scale we are playing in. And luckily for us, all the chords of the diatonic scale are in the tune of Autumn Leaves. With one exception, the E minor 7 in the scale is not the E minor 7 in the tune, it's an E7 in the tune. In the diatonic scale we have this G in the E minor 7. In Autumn Leaves we have an E7, and that makes the G a G sharp. That's the only difference. And again, here's a long theoretical explanation about how this is a G sharp and not a G. Since we're doing the basics, I'll skip the explanation and get into the playing part. Start by training the arpeggios up the scale. You really need to learn them in your head by name, all the chord tones, and in your fingers, so play it a lot. And now apply the same chords into the tune, of course with one change. The E minor 7 becomes an E7. And the only difference between playing the diatonic chords up the scale and playing them in Autumn Leaves is the order of the chords. Know this, for a beginning improviser, these two things, playing the chords up the scale and playing the chords in the tune, are the most important things you have to repeat a lot of times. Now we're getting to real improvising. Play a horizontal line through the form. What's that? Play a connecting chord tone line, connecting it into the next bar to the closest chord tone in the next bar. You want to play a horizontal line through the chords because this is the most musical way to get through the chords. And this way the chord tones connect to each other and they lead into each other. Play this horizontal line many times. Add this rhythm into the horizontal line you just played. And this is actually your first real solo. I've written down this rhythm. Add different rhythms. Add rhythms as you feel like, but keep it within the bar. What I also advise you to do is make more horizontal lines. So now we need to expand our solo material. What we do is really easy. We just add one chord note to the mix. For now, just add a chord tone that's adjacent to the horizontal line you just made. This horizontal line with two chord tones as many times till you really know it by heart and you can hear it coming. Remember the sound and remember the movement of this line. Add more horizontal lines with adjacent notes. The more you have, the more flexible you become. And now, of course, add rhythm to this. Keep expanding the amount of chord tones and the amount of rhythm you put in here. And at the end, you will end up having amazing chord tone solos with amazing rhythm. In the lesson manual on Patreon, I've taken it a little bit further. There I've made full formitudes with all the chords, all the guide tone lines, and a lot of these adjacent notes and rhythm. Everything is written down for you to easily get it into your playing. Follow this easy build up and play really clear solos on Autumn Leaves. I wanted to present this video to you because I run through how to take the next step from soloing, getting more material into your solos beyond these chord tones. Are you ready for the next step? Play music, have fun.